Welcome.
Welcome to Startup.
I'm Heather.
I'm Jessica.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah, sweet.
We're going to have Fireball for Valentine's Day. Shocker.
As we should.
As we should. I actually told you, Jessica, before we started recording that I forgot today was Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Today is otherwise known in our house as Owen's birthday because he was born on Valentine's Day and they're our best buddies. So, yeah.
So fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Valentine's Day. Peyton is very excited for her Valentine's Day party at school. It's really the first one that she has registered what's going on. She woke up at 5 o'clock this morning, ready to go to school. She's basically in a gown with leggings with pink hearts and asked Daddy to put her hair in a ponytail and make it beautiful. That's what she told him. She's thrilled.
I love that.
Yeah.
Did they bring a Valentine's box or they put it in a bag or how does that work?
I just got it. So they'll just distribute it it's not like it was at this age, at least. It's not like to Johnny from Peyton and in your designated thing.
You just give everybody one?
Yeah. We just brought gummy bears and she wrote her name on every little gummy bear package and then the teacher will just fill up bags. So pretty easy peasy at this age, but she said...
You got to make me a promise.
Okay.
So when she finally gets to go to school and gets to make a mailbox, so my niece made a mailbox last night.
Love.
I'm included, and we're going to have a really sweet one. My kids always had the best mailboxes.
Okay.
We'd be up till midnight, it's a Maddie Heather project where Jess can sit and with Clay, and I'm telling you.
My kids are just getting a little lollipop for Valentine's Day. I just made a mad rush to Meijer to get whatever I could find.
Look at Elsie's. That's my niece's.
Oh my
it's a
God,
vanity.
That's so adorable.
Could you imagine if P got to show up with something like that when she's 8 years old?
I can't even imagine.
We're going to do it.
Okay. Well, I'm glad she has someone like you in her life because I probably wouldn't.
I'm glad you had kids when I feel like I'm 40 and nobody wants to do any of the fun things I like to do. My kids are like, I don't want a Valentine's Day mailbox.
That's funny. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm barely keeping it. Just checking the box over here. It's
Me too.
Nothing special.
I mean, mostly. We've been at everything's falling the fuck apart over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But it's good.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's okay. That's what happens.
Yeah.
We have a lot of games this week too.
They're excited about Valentine's Day. She is. Yeah.
Are you and Maddie doing anything? Do you even exchange cards or anything?
No.
We don't either.
And I'm thankful for that.
Shit, me too.
I almost bought some flowers, kind of from the house, I guess, not for me. I just almost bought some flowers to just say oh, it's the special Valentine's Day flowers. But maybe Matt will get me flowers.
My neighbor Kelly was telling me she has these gorgeous flowers. I literally the other day was at her house and she was in the other room and I literally touched her flowers to see if they were real. Because I thought they were silk. Yeah.
They were so perfect.
Gorgeous. Aww. And she is going to text me the link and I'll text it to you.
Okay.
She said for the affordability, they last a month.
Oh my God.
And they ship them right to her door and they're gorge. Gorge.
My favorite thing is fresh flowers. It's
me too.
Basically my goal in the summertime
me too.
is to
all over my home.
Figure out how to get flowers grown in my yard that I can bring inside all year long.
Yes.
That's how I think about what to plant.
I bought did I tell you this already? I bought a Venus flytrap plant
I think I saw it.
It's so cool. Now that I've watered it.
No.
And it's not all it's guys, its hands, its claws are they're like this, open, and they're just ready to
snap. And then have you watched it in action?
Not yet, but I can't wait to get some fruit flies for the first time ever.
Right. Okay, I'm really interested. I kind of want some.
Because I think you'd be. We're gonna get one if it works good. We're gonna get one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, here.
But I planted a bunch of stuff.
We're probably gonna need them here. We get we have behind the scenes, not to make our studio really gross, but we do have ladybugs.
We're in the middle of the forest, folks.
All season ladybugs.
We're in the middle of Fireball.
Speaking of some fun things that are happening right now, around the studio, the river. Maybe if we have a hot sec before you leave, we can walk out onto the ice. I've been wanting to just go stand in the river on the ice. Anyways, it's not always completely frozen. It's usually has pockets of water and it's not always super safe for snowmobilers, but occasionally we get one. It's been such a cold and snowy winter that it's completely frozen over with no issue and we get snowmobilers all the time.
Oh my gosh.
Loads of snowmobilers.
Love that.
I would not be shocked if we see a snowmobiler today while we're recording.
That is very exciting.
I know.
So we're going to Boyne Mountain for the weekend. We're leaving after we're done recording. And my people leader at work told me today that it's supposed to be the best weekend of snow in like Boyne, and like not only like this year, but like this year's been an incredible, like for years and years and years. It's going to be absolutely gorge.
Yeah, that's so nice. That's exciting. Do you think it's going to be super busy then? Does that matter?
Here's the deal. Miss Christie really gets into like the activity of skiing.
And you like the lodge and the bar.
And I like the lodge and the bar.
Are you a good skier?
I'm a very good skier.
Okay.
It's the one thing in my family that I'm probably almost still better than everyone at.
Oh,
like if I'm gonna,
so cool.
Right. And I'm still not afraid of the sport. Like I used to be good at softball player, and now I'm afraid of the ball. I used to be able to run a little bit faster, and now it blows out my hamstrings. Like I slept wrong last night, and my neck and my jaw hurt. I'm pretty sure my kidneys are shutting down. But anyway, I can still hit the fucking slopes, and the more Fireball I drink, the better I think I am at it. So I'll ski for a day, and then I'm just happy to exist.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to sit in the bar, and I'm happy to shop at the shops, and I'm happy to people watch, and I'm happy to get lost in the parking lot and literally walk around aimlessly all day.
Yeah, it's still a win.
It's a win for me. It's an absolute win for me. And I'm probably going to get some new snow pants. So I'm really excited about that. You know, I'm always down for a new piece of clothing.
I know. I do need some new snow pants. I put on my Carhartts. Remember that I said that they were like mats and I sit in?
Yeah.
I put them on because Peyton and I were going to go plow snow because we had all that snow with a tractor. But it was like a little bit of a different setup than I expected when I got out there. I get ready to plow and I'm just like tinkering so I can make sure I know exactly what I'm doing. But Peyton immediately read that as like, she doesn't know what she's doing. And she totally panicked, was like, I do not want to do this anymore. Get me off of here. And when I like encouraged it, she just started to like start to cry. And I thought, okay, fine. So we put it away. And Matt asked when he got home, he's like, why, you didn't get very far, like, why didn't you end up plowing? And I said, yeah, Peyton, why didn't we plow? And she goes, because you don't know what you're doing. Well, I did it, but I could figure it out. Like, no confidence in mom on the tractor. Like,
what did Maddie say?
He thought that was hilarious. And then he got his snow pants on and went snow plowing.
Did she go with him?
No.
She was over it.
Yeah, and it was like dark and cold and stuff. Yeah, she was definitely over it.
Do you plow your whole driveway? With the tractor? Not your four-wheeler?
Nope, with the tractor, and he has like a snow plow that you might have had on a truck. He just put that on. He like made a little thing to put it on the tractor.
Cool.
So it's pretty wide, and then it just plows the whole driveway. Like whatever you drove on was all done by the tractor.
Love.
Yeah, he does a great job.
Yeah.
I was really excited to have the productivity of plowing, but it was cut real fucking short. It is what it is.
Because Mom Girl had enough of it.
Yeah, it's fine.
The productivity of plowing.
Yeah, like doesn't that sound so
I know.
rewarding?
Yeah, it is.
It wasn't.
It's like power washing.
Yeah. Especially with the amount of snow we got. It just sounded so lovely. I was really looking forward to it, but she was out real quick.
What was your favorite Super Bowl commercial? Do you have a top 4?
I did not watch a single commercial. I was just ready for a halftime. That was it.
And you thought it was
exceptionally amazing.
All the way down to his jeans, which we're going to talk about on social.
Number 1 halftime show ever.
Ever? You think ever?
For me, it was.
Really?
Yeah, because remember my top was like Eminem and Snoop, which I still loved. But there was no drama behind it. And
you were all about the drama. Like you felt like you were in the comments, like a live production of the comments.
I have not stopped reading the comments and just watching what people have said.
Okay, so give me that. What's happening? What's trending? What's going on?
It is the number 1 most watched event since the moon landing. There were more people that watched the halftime show than who watched the game altogether. So that's number 1. Like, that's fucking cool. The So
Drake dropped his album last night. My son stayed up to listen.
Didn't even hear about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I used to be like a big Drake fan too.
I've never been a Drake fan.
So you're right.
My favorite part about Drake is when, what's her name? She's Scourge. What's a super talented rapper, Nicki Minaj. She was like, thank you to Mr. Versace for making Miss Versace for whatever, Mr. or Mrs. There's both.
Yeah.
Or Miss for making this dress for me, and thank you tonight for Drake for taking it off of me.
I think she said Michael.
Michael B. Jordan.
Cardi B.
Yeah. Cardi B.
Yeah.
But Nicki Minaj said Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, no, maybe Cardi B said Michael B. Jordan, and I didn't know that anybody said Drake. I just said recently. Maybe she.
I think I'm entirely fucking wrong.
I don't know. Maybe you sent me the clip.
I did. It was Nicki Minaj to Michael B. Jordan. Delete that.
Might keep it just for fun.
But Drake, Bennett showed me a TikTok with Drake where it was super cool, like production costume where he's literally wearing a hoodie like this, a little darker, like this big hoodie, and it's got bullet holes that they put in the front of it, and smoke coming out of the back of it.
Oh wow!
Fun fact: how tall is Kendrick Lamar?
He looked real short. You tell me.
5'5".
5'5".
Is my height.
Okay. I'm not surprised.
He was wearing a women's 29 Celine jean.
Do you think that's true? Oh, wait. I heard they were American Eagle.
No.
Celine? So, like, really fancy?
I'll tell you. We're going to post it because I already have it ready. Hold on, photos. I want to read it to you because it's super interesting.
Yeah, tell me.
So he wore these jeans, and they're like, if you know, you know. The whole internet's talking about these jeans.
Because he looked gorgeous.
He looked gorgeous.
Like, I never thought he was attractive until all of a sudden he walked out. Basically backwards hat, like really cool.
No, he is 100% your type.
In that view, 100%, yeah.
But like his build, everything. Maddie's into jeans like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's your.
I was like.
He's not a shirtless construction worker, but he's a close second. Thank God, Kendrick Lamar, for you.
But it was like the first time he ever even looked like that. That's not really what he dresses like.
He also married his college or high school sweetheart.
Oh, see, I love that.
So he was the unexpected star. The unexpected star of the show was his flared pair of Celine jeans he rocked.
I had the same internal reaction until we started talking about
it. They earned $2.3 million in media impact value just in 13 minutes. They were a size 29 women's pants that hugged the rapper's hips perfectly despite his 33-inch waist. The more you know. Cosmopolitan said so.
I believe it.
That's true.
So first thing, Super Bowl was like, everything was happening so fast. I was just like, okay, be present, but I really don't even know what the fuck is going on. I was like really just getting hyped about will he sing the song or will he not? And like, will he change the words and whatever? So the only thing that I did when he said, say Drake, I heard it, but I didn't see that he smiled at the camera. Like, we need a bigger TV. I couldn't use closed captions because it's a live event.
She's now losing her sight.
Yeah, my kids were asleep, so I couldn't have the volume up high enough. And so I felt really disabled. Do your
ears hook into your TV?
No. I have something that does do that, but not for these. Like, the short answer is no. I have done it. I don't like it. It's not great. It's not a great experience. Anyways. So I knew that I wasn't consuming the information as intended. I knew I was going to have to just be present and then figure out what
that's the dumb blonde in you were. You're like, I love it, but I'm not sure why.
Yeah, that's kind of what was happening.
I can see you.
It's kind of what was happening. I was just smiling the whole time. I didn't even really react, and Matt doesn't have a clue
what's
about
happening
anything
in the world.
So he was just on his phone, he wasn't even paying attention. So unfortunately, what I love is watching all of the reaction videos of all of these people watching it. I inside felt that a certain way, but I love the wide range of outwardly responses to everything that was happening. And then I got to figure out all the little details. I could piece it all together, and then I watched it a couple of times. I love it.
I mean, we forget that the people on stage are the actors, but there is incredibly smart, creative, thoughtful, historian, detail-oriented people putting the production together.
Huge appreciation.
They're telling a story with not only the music
and Kendrick himself. Yeah. So that I have a huge amount of respect for. So
My son was all Kendrick. And my son always loved Kendrick and Drake. And then Kendrick said that Drake was a child molester. And then my son was like, whew.
That's hot.
That's hot.
Yeah.
And now but it's like Drake's, Kendrick's on his bucket list. So is Travis. But he's like, he was really team Drake. He feels like.
Oh, he's really behind.
He's behind Drake now. He feels like this is too much. Like so you aired your fucking dirty laundry. Like, unless that's true.
Drake did too.
I think that dirty laundry is fine until it comes to like hurting your grandma and hurting kids.
Drake started the personalness. So when Kendrick started, so if anything, Kendrick was like, I'm the best rapper. You all think that you're really great, like in a song, and not so many words. Like I'm not going to get the lyrics right, but he was basically like, you all think you're really great, and he might have named Drake, but he's basically like, but I am. You think you are, but I am. That's just hip hop beef. Like that's normal, right? Like this is the history.
That's normal, like man competitive woman beef. Like you think you're great, I'm better.
So then there was a little bit of back and forth with that, like over many years. And Drake was the one who was like, you beat your wife and kids. And so then Kendra's like, motherfuck that. If you're gonna bring in like people we love, he's like, if you think that that's true, then like wait till I can make your life a lot worse of the things that I know about you. So then he started to talk about like a daughter that allegedly Drake has had, like another child that he has had but has not made public. We don't know if that's true. Drake has never said anything about it. He likes younger girls. Gross. But actually I can't.
Listen, my son thinks that's the whole reason LA is burnt down. It's because so does everyone else in California.
Yeah, right?
Or like anybody, not boys or girls, just anybody less powerful than themselves. Mm-hmm. Or those looking to take advantage of the weak and vulnerable.
Think about like the history of rock stars and just like people who, all of it. Like Elvis. Elvis married somebody who was like 17.
He started courting her like, okay, speaking of that, what are you watching? Hold on. Elvis movie. I watched In the Name of Sex last night.
Never heard of it.
You have to watch it.
I watched a documentary on fishing in the Great Lakes.
Well, it's called On the Basis of Sex, and it's about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So it's not like I'm over here.
I thought it was like a
learning how to do new moves. Jessica.
So you and I were both nerding out, but I
thought
myself. That's funny.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, that's the Kendrick Drake beef.
I thought Nike was great. I thought Dove was great.
Oh,
I thought there was a lot.
Nike after.
They really know that this generation is a bunch of soft, mushy.
Yeah.
Like.
Do you feel like that's changing though?
It's a lot of feelings.
Do you feel like we're transitioning from that a little bit? I kind of think we are.
Yeah, I think that what's really unfortunate.
A little bit of a pendulum swing.
Yeah, and where I'm trying to wrestle in my mind is like, you know, even like when you think about, I want to talk about this like as you're my friend, and if we have to cut this, we'll cut this. Because I just, you know, everyone's super pumped, everyone. But I see about a 50-50 or a 60-40 split between those who are fighting back against the DEI initiatives, and then I see folks, you know, who are, so again, pumped, and then like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's like very extreme one way or the other. I think at the end of the day,
what makes it sad for me is that we call things DEI when it just really means like kindness and treating other people the way you want to be treated, and then recognizing like, I don't know everything about everybody, and I've got some biases, and I'm just going to try to be a better person tomorrow than I am today.
Yeah.
And like confusing those two things.
Yeah, especially because I think the people who are really excited about any elimination of DE&I are like, I've been reversely prejudiced against. Because,
or negatively impacted in some sort of...
Yeah, like some reversal. Yeah. Like reverse racism sort of thing. And like maybe there's an element of that. I'm not saying that that's like doesn't ever happen. I don't know.
Well, Donald Trump said something about the Kennedy Center and how they're not going to do this and that. And I don't know enough about it to like even make a comment. But all I do know is like if you watch, here's what I know. I know that I've been around a lot of creative people for a long, long, long time. And they are just as complex as they are unique in background and expertise and like beauty and art and creativity and whatever. But the arts has always been the misfits.
Yeah.
So when I see things come out around, like, I'm including DEI arts, I just thinking about treating people inclusivity is like whole.
Yeah.
And that's where I think, like, I think the pendulum swung in a way that, like, was good, but also scared people, but maybe was also bad. I don't know.
Yeah.
And now it's swinging this way where I think it's more like, fuck this, and why did we do that? And yay, we didn't. And I just hope it swings again back to common sense and reason.
Settle somewhere.
Some values.
Yeah.
Let's have some values about how we treat people and how we think about progressing.
That's my strongest feeling with it too.
Values.
Yeah.
We talk about that all the time. What are our values?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Are you ready?
Are you ready for the real tea?
Yes, she did it. Did you see
I've been practicing all day.
I'm ready for the real tea.
Okay,
Let's
good.
do this.
So go, because I have a lot of opinions about the post office.
Okay, maybe we shall start there. I like that. So, hey, first, we're starting with the...
I don't mean to be a dick. This is probably going to get me in trouble. But is it a prerequisite to work at the post office, UPS, to be an absolute fucking rude twat waffle? Because I went to the UPS store.
Oh, yeah.
I went to United States Postal Service because I wanted to, support. But you were rude. So then I started to go to the UPS store by my house because you were nice. And now you're rude in there. And now I'm back at you. And like, okay, those of you who got cups from us, literally, I called Jessica and I was like, it's $68 to ship this cup 2 hours. Like, we might as well take a road trip.
Truly.
The cup itself is worth $40. Like, So I went back to the United States Postal Service, and they have humans working in there that were kind to me, and it was cheaper. So I'm back.
I think I have typically had like a generally rude experience at the post office. You know the term going postal?
Yeah.
That's because the post office had like a series of violent shootings, like employees coming to work. And it was the first of its kind. Like, workplace violence hadn't really occurred until someone brought a gun to work at the post office and like shot their colleagues. I shouldn't be smiling. It's very serious. And it happened like multiple times. So then it became a term, you're going postal.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
When I went to the partial, there was...
post office workers. So, in all fairness,
it sounded like an absolute shit show behind there. Like, it sounded like
we could speculate because
the fact that your shit makes it from point A to B is a miracle. Jesus delivered it himself.
Well, you know what? One of the things about the post office is that they are required by law to deliver mail. So every single U.S. citizen is like, property, it is required to have a mailbox. And the USPS, the United States Postal Service, is required to deliver mail to every single address in the United States. 166 million addresses, 167 million addresses, by law required to deliver 6 days a week. It previously was 7 days a week, scaled back because they haven't made money in 15 years. They've been in a deficit for 15 years, and one of the choices that they made was to not deliver on Sundays. Recently, a couple of years ago, they did that. 167 million addresses required by law. It doesn't matter where you live.
You ever seen the people who work for the post office? They're in fucking shape.
Do you think it would be a good job to be a mail carrier?
No. I worked as a beer rep for Fabiano Brothers, and I love beer. You know this, and spirits and everything that comes with it. But standing in the cooler and being a beer rep and counting, I think figuring out where to drop things in people's mailboxes would be about as fucking exciting for me as, no. Talking about email signatures.
I agree. But sometimes I look and I'm like, oh, you're just taking like a nice stroll I don't know. They're like walking from door to door in the city. It looks kind of cute. I don't know. Sort of like, kind of like being a lawnmower.
Don't you remember the guy from Cheers? He was a
male guy?
Yeah.
See, it seems like possible. But then again,
I mean, don't get me wrong. If you live in Southern California and your male guy is to deliver to 400 addresses on the beach every day and you're getting paid $120,000 to just make sure you put 2105 into 2105, I think that's a W. I think delivering in Alaska
is not so much because you're required to be able to deliver anywhere there's a mailbox. So
that's why it's $90 to send shit to Black Lake, Michigan. Alpena, $68 for a fucking Yeti cup. It got there.
How much money do you think the post office makes?
They don't make any. They lose money. I think they got
how much
bankruptcy.
Revenue comes in? How much? Because you still have to pay for postage. So money's coming in and money's coming out. How much is coming in a year?
$28 million.
$80 billion.
What?
Yeah, and they're losing at a rate. They only lost $1.8 billion, but that's.
Does the government just put that as a write-off and subsidize it because it's part of like our human right to have an email address or a mailbox?
No, it gets no government taxpayer funding whatsoever, but they're held by law. So one of the reasons that
is FedEx and UPS held by law?
They're private, like they are.
But do they have to?
They don't have to do anything they don't want to do. The United States Postal Service, and I do want to I have loads of history. Ooh.
Okay, I'm quite.
Well, I hesitate because you're gonna have to tell me if we get into boring stuff. But I did make some points that we can cover. But part of it is here's current state, and then I think it's really interesting to pull back the layers to say why. So, United States Postal Service was one of the earlier organizations that by law Congress has said this is really important to the thread of our economy and transparency and
for the Constitution,
even First Amendment rights are in there because early mail before it was a government institution was people would spy on it. You would literally mail before we were even a country, but we were the colonies. You would go to a local tavern, drop your mail off.
See. We knew where to be the whole time.
I knew you'd like that. You go to a tavern, and then you'd pay money to some captain, a ship captain, who would then take it to wherever port, if that was the port you knew your mail needed to go. He'd drop it at a tavern, and then your loved ones would just have to go check the tavern and say, is there any mail for me today? That's how mail was traveled. And
could you imagine, babe, I got to go to the bar and get our mail. I'd mail stuff to myself.
Well, you wouldn't have to. You'd just say, I'm just going to check.
So let me go check the chickens.
Instead of us saying, I have to take a run to the dump and take our trash to the dump and hit up the bar on the way home just to see who's there, we would say, I just have to see if we have mail, honey. I'll be right back.
I'll be right back.
In 3 hours.
Taking my ass down to Double D's.
So, in fact...
My alibi. Shout out to my alibi.
Right.
Shout out to Pat and Papa down at my alibi.
Hey, Lorraine.
Yes.
In 1693, the British government made it official, christening Richard Fairbank's Boston Tavern as the first sanctioned post office in the New World.
Oh, wow. The New World. The one we stole. From the Native Americans. That one.
1639.
Well, 1492. Almost 150 years after Columbus saved the world.
And more than 100 years before we claimed independence.
Facts.
So crazy. Isn't that wild?
Sir.
Just time and everything is just wild. Time is wild. So, all of that to be said. Okay, so a couple of just basic requirements. One of the reasons why the post office is so they have these restrictions of you must deliver mail to every United States citizen or household, not even citizen, every United States household you must deliver mail to if they have an address. So that creates operational inefficiencies that you can't account for. The other
fragmented in terms of how you'd even do your routes.
Yeah, right.
Like out here specifically being an example of that.
This would be like one of the least of their worries. There's stories of, you said Alaska's a great example. There's some stories of like somebody lives in like a basin of the canyon and gets mail every single day. Junk mail even. You have to deliver it 6 days a week if there's mail to be delivered.
So during the election, somebody's trekking it uphill, in the middle of October to deliver 26 candidate things that are literally getting burned in the backyard.
Yeah.
It might not even be your driver's license
legally
renewal.
Required. Oh, and so we talked about the tavern. I'm kind of jumping around here a little bit, but back in those days, your privacy wasn't guaranteed. So part of the strategy was so as it evolved from not just being at taverns, but then you'd have like printing houses. There would be somebody who'd run their own newspaper. Then you'd deliver your newspaper. So then naturally you become a postmaster because you'd be a place you'd say when you go deliver your newspaper, I'll pay you a penny to deliver my mail to, Josie over there while you're delivering her paper too. So they just organically also became postmasters, but they have an incentive to open the mail, read the correspondence, and then sometimes they'd print about it. It would become like gossip. Not even like people to people, but like business to business stuff. Rumors about what people were doing.
Crazy.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
So Benjamin Franklin was when he was 20, started his own printing newspaper business.
I do know that.
I didn't. So then organically became a postmaster and just had the skill of a postmaster. He ended up retiring from his newspaper business at 40, but then became the United States' first official post, designated originally by Britain, but then became when the USPS became, it was called the, what the heck was that? It was an organization. I wrote it down somewhere. I guess it doesn't really matter what it was.
Nope, not at all. We don't give a shit.
It was the post office department.
Oh,
Why couldn't I
way off.
Why couldn't I
almost got it.
In 1792. So shortly after we claimed
300 years after Columbus, 1492.
And still just imagine.
After we claimed Columbus, is that what I said?
I don't know, but after
Columbus.
So 1776 was our independence. So then still, how much, 20 years almost after, we finally had a post office department, even though this has been absolutely unofficially. So because it was still in 1723 when he did his print house. So sure. He's been doing print and postmaster services for a long time.
Fireball.
One of the things that he did well was it took 6 to 8 weeks to get mail from New York to Boston. And once I know.
Shit, if we could walk faster.
Well, so that's kind of what he said. So he retired at 40 and he kept, Franklin kept his postmaster responsibilities, and him and another guy, I don't really know who this other guy is, they took a year-long journey to assess the postal system and map it out and make a whole year they spent just in assessment mode and
in discovery. I'd love to spend a whole year in discovery on a project.
I think about that all the time. Anyways, they cut it down to round trip. Oh, it was Philadelphia and Boston, so still even a stretch, but they did it in 3 weeks, which was a record. Cut it in half, right?
That's a lot. That's a big metric.
Yeah, it is a big, absolutely.
You imagine if you're at work, you want to improve on-time delivery by 50%. Be like, dude, why are you only delivering at 50% to begin with?
But it took you a year to do it.
A year?
To me, that's a good.
Well, again, not too far off of working from a publicly traded company.
Discovery,
you don't even get to discover. They're like, we already know the problem. Move on. Move that stage. Even though every consultancy in the whole world says discovery is important.
This is my favorite part.
Me too.
Okay. So we'll do our fireball. So all that to be said, that's the coolest part of the history. There's a little bit more that we'll probably dabble into. But one of the major variables is as this organization gets established, and the importance of the post office is an essential part of the economy and protecting the privacy of the written word and communication. Like all of these were like became really foundational, big important
Certified
parts.
mail is still a thing. I mean, that's how, I mean, like that's like your Bible.
It's a big value of the post office, but like kind of became, because of the importance of that as like a threat of the American democracy. So I got like a little bit nerded out on that. One of the big things is they established the United States Postal Service. Is that what we called it? They federally, like the law insists, like the way Congress wrote it, insists that, so no federal funding, yet the organization has to pay ahead, like for their workers' pension, pay funding and have it completely funded. So if I hire you, I have to have enough money to pay your pension in the year that you're hired. So they have to have billions of dollars
saved away.
But
they got a lot of 529 plans for their
but on the balance sheet, that's expensive, and especially as like history
you get taxed.
Modernized.
I need to think about that.
So only in 2022 that finally got removed to their balance sheet, and it's like 30 or 50 billion dollars. Like it's an insane expense. So now they don't have to pay ahead. There's over 600,000 employees. It's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people.
And when you're an organization for 15 years that has
not made any money.
Yeah, and so then my question kept being like, well, what happens? Like that money has to come from somewhere. They're paying something, right? So they take out loans from the federal government. It's a loan. It's not a grant. It's not so granted. The federal government
pun intended.
The federal government could say like, okay, we'll waive those loans at some point, but
right.
They haven't. Like it's still a loan. And it's like it's $2 billion this last year, is $1 billion this year. So they have a 10-year plan that was started in 2020, I think, or something. I don't remember what the thing is. To be honest, I've been pretty impressed. Everything I go through their strategy and like the way that their leadership talks, I've been pretty impressed. They have a pretty diverse leadership, like both gender and race. Still, like a lot of white old guys, but like not outrageous, I guess.
Dude, I'm fucking one.
I'm just saying,
they're all not that bad.
So even like the leader himself, like the way he writes, I'm like, oh, I could get on board. Yep. I like all that. So, anyways, that's kind of current state. I gave a little bit of history. So that was like early history. So we've established the Department of Post, like whatever we called that. We're trying now, and we've declared independence, and now it's like the 1800s, 1850s, and we're all venturing out to California to be cowboys and find gold, right? So we send all of our husbands out there. The only way to get mail to California regularly is by boat. They take through Panama and then back up.
Okay.
Isn't that wild?
Wild.
Until the Pony Express. So it costs 40 cents for that ship. So what's a forever stamp today cost?
Oh, I think 70 something, isn't it?
I thought it was like 66, but maybe it's 70. That's 70 cents. That's like, so this is 1850. How many hundreds of years ago is that?
Yeah. Only
it costs 40 cents to get a letter
you guys,
to your husband.
We got to think about that from like a...
So, that's $13. We're making it a bigger deal than what it is. But it would cost you $13.
That is a big deal. One little piece of fucking envelope, you're going to... Also, I send about 4 things a year. So until we had a business.
But every time you decided to write your husband a letter to say like, this is like little Josie got sick again, cholera is really bad, or like whatever, or like, honey, I miss you.
I ain't writing that.
Yeah.
Not for $13. I post that shit on Facebook for free.
Yeah, it would have to be like a really meaningful message. No, you can't post it on Facebook. The Telegram didn't even work that far.
That's what I meant, though. Like, today, we just air our grievances on Facebook. Hey, we're breaking up, bitch. Doesn't cost you nothing but Wi-Fi. Some 5G. And an app. And back then, it cost you $13 to tell Terry that
And
you were going to have his babies.
Just like the tavern, these men set out to find gold, whatever. Homesickness, their family, right? Takes weeks to get there all together, and then by the time they get there, they're still, they're ready to come home, I would imagine. But then they're out there for a long time, miss their family, have nothing of home, and all they want is like a letter from home. So then they'd stand in line it wasn't a tavern, they did designate like an official post area by like the ship place, whatever. So then these people would wait in line for sometimes hours when the ship comes to see if they have a letter from home, and if they didn't, they just empty-handed. And there's stories on the internet of these men writing letters home saying like,
might as well have an old person or a cat die. You know what I mean? My heart can't take that. No, somebody not having a letter.
It's just not having. They wait in line hoping for a letter from home, and then nothing came. So you better be sending your $13 letter so you're like, so he's not so sad.
I was more worried about my kids than my husband. My husband will power through. He'll be fine. He'll be mopping. Baby doll, where'd you go? Are you coming back?
You come back?
Question mark.
$13. Oh my God. Okay.
Okay, so today, are they on the up and up? Are they on the swing? Are we clinking? Are they still sucking?
So,
why do they get to? Why are they the longest company
so here's what
in
my
the
question,
world to lose
my
money?
Question is for you. My
Billions.
question for you is: they are required by law, but they are self-fulfilled. Is it something that should be subsidized? Like, why do they have to be? There's so many other things.
I think it is subsidized.
It's not.
It's got to be.
Looked up and down. It is not subsidized.
How do you lose money for that many years? And
they take a loan out. Hold on, I wrote it.
but the government, how much is the government charging them on interest?
It's a low interest federal loan.
So like. So
it's
just like anything federal. That's what I'm saying. Is it smoke and mirrors? Because the government, our military has loans out against our government.
Yeah.
So I think is it just like a.
Okay, so, but it's written in a way that is.
You feel like they're being constrained by handcuffs.
Yeah, I do. And it'd be one thing if we said, fine, taxpayer, we're not recording it. It's, you know what I mean? It's written in a way that's like, this is a loan. As soon as you get the money back, you still have to pay it back.
But like, here's how I think about it. Like I can make 4% on a high yield savings. So if my loan is only on my house is only 2.75, but I'm making 4% on what I have in the bank. Like, do they give a shit? Like, is that just part of their operating model to lose constantly?
Not the way that like. So they're really transparent of all of their financials because
I don't understand that. Why am I having such a hard time connecting to the fact that you're losing money, basically being told what to do?
Yeah.
Losing money.
Oh, and
taking out loans from those who are telling you what to do.
They can't raise their rates without like government oversight.
So why wouldn't they just sell out and be like a private company?
So that's my question. Well, so how can you? Because you're bound by law. So the government, Congress would have to say, yeah, like we'll no longer require. I guess this is the way I see it. We either have to say, eliminate requirements on the United States Postal Service. It's no longer bound by law to do things that, like, you can't require 6 days a week. They can set their own pricing, blah, blah, blah. Let them make their own decisions. And
they can be a free enterprise like most everybody else.
Yes,
or
that's the problem.
have them government mandated. But listen, here's the difference though. If the government were to take over the post office completely, we'd still be losing. It's a win-win, lose-lose.
Yeah.
Like, what are we going to do?
Well, so I guess what my point is it's positioned as like a failing organization, but they're handicapped. So either you take the handcuffs off and say, because it is a self-funded, so then say, totally, like, also, then you don't have the right to, like, these special federal loans.
Yeah.
I mean, we bailed out car
GM.
companies, and, like, banks, and they're not, those are not.
We handcuffed them. We put more laws on, but
not in the same way.
And we'll also reverse them. We'll have
Yeah. Well, like taxpayers did fund that, and that was truly granted money, right? Like that was, hey, we think you're so important that we don't want you to fail. Here's some cash.
Yeah.
We're not even doing that for the Postal Service. We're like, hey, we'll give you some cash, but you owe us back. That's
how much is it though?
Well, so it's like $2 billion to $1 billion a year over 15 years now. I don't know every single year. I didn't.
Like we're $30 billion in debt, the post office? Oh, okay, so now what?
But they're an $80 billion a year company, so
they don't get
it's like a really fucking long history. So if you can turn it around, and their turnaround plan sounds pretty interesting. They make most of their revenue from the
I'm telling you, they're working on customer experience because the people working in there right now make you feel like, you want to feel like a dumbass? Go to the fucking post office. You want to have a bad day and have a worse day 10 years ago? Go to the post office. You want to feel like you can't figure out how to turn your TV on? Go to the post office. Now, I feel like they're kinder. They're nicer. They want to talk to you. It's an experience. And I just wonder if that's part of the strategy.
It was a really long document, and I skipped over those
Good
things.
for you. You're all welcome for Jessica's hard work.
And I felt like I pulled out the important parts. I feel like we'll find out.
The Pony Express got me.
So want to know some more fun facts about the Pony Express?
Yeah, I do.
So do you know how it works? I really didn't understand this.
Ish, yeah.
So we basically said like it took many months to get a $13 piece of mail, to your loved one, whatever, like a very long fucking time on the steamship. So they were basically like, we can do this better. They had 400 horses and like 80 riders, and it was like a relay system. So you would drop a horse, get on another horse, and then you could keep going because the humans could ride a horse longer than the horse could sustain itself. They just go balls out, hard riding these horses really, really fast. Drop a horse, get on another one, and keep going. And like you just kind of keep going back and forth to these posts. They could get mail from Sacramento to Missouri, and then Missouri, a train would take it from there. They could do it in 10 days, which originally took like super long, and they would pay these people $100 a month, which they're normally only accustomed to getting like $30 a month. But guess how long the whole system lasted?
Oh boy,
18 months.
Oh no.
Fell apart.
Is that the song "Ride a Horse, Something a Cowboy"?
Ride a horse, save a cowboy.
Yeah.
I think that's not Pony Express. But, so the problem was like really bad weather. Sometimes you get attacked by Indians, and it's just
your hoof got sore.
And
horses go lame.
And sometimes
wagon wheels break down.
They had 400 horses, so you'd like drop horse. But you're right, yeah, like the limitation and the business.
But not all 400 horses are your fastest horse.
True. The biggest problem was that like sometimes, so you're paying a guy $100 a month, but it had nothing to do with like how much volume of mail. So there was all this mail, but it would take like 6 months. But now you're consolidating that, doing it faster. And so now like the ponies and the guy, they're only carrying like 4 pieces of mail.
And they're like, I'm getting this $25 envelope.
The business model wasn't sustainable.
The business model wasn't very objectively. That's what we would call facts, folks.
It was a fun little endeavor to learn about along the way to get to.
So we're clinking.
Yeah, so I'm definitely clinking.
We're interested.
I feel really good.
Be nice to us. Don't make us feel stupid when we come mail in our fucking passport or shit to our papa.
I do have a new appreciation for the United States Postal Service. I hope they're past the days of going postal. That was in the 80s. So like
and being rude.
And being rude. Like we think they've gone above that.
At least shout out to the ladies in Midland.
Right.
I only saw ladies. If there's males or otherwise.
And then I just kind of like to leave it to the audience as like, now that we know what we know, how handcuffed the organization really is to the law and restricted to really raising their prices, they are so limited. And it's not like they're getting like free money. They have loans, and those loans maybe could be forgiven, but I kind of doubt it with Doge involved and stuff. Like, I think they're going to be held accountable, even if it's forever, like whatever. Should the post office should we not be required to like have the right to mail delivery.
No,
right?
I think that's a...
you think we have to have
I do. And so if that's the case, just let them keep on losing money and pay their people, and who fucking cares? Like, if it's just a constant wheel of losing money, but you're paying 600,000 people a decent wage and I'm getting my fucking mail.
But even with we couldn't have forethought the internet 200 years ago. Like, even with the internet and email and all that stuff.
Piece of paper is a piece of fucking paper.
So you think it is a foundational necessity that our country needs to require, like, the service of?
100%.
And your mail is federally protected. Like,
correct.
Just to access your mailbox, like, if I walked up to your mailbox,
my boys did that.
Federal offense.
That's a good one. Very good. So Jim, I gave I gave Jim a heart attack because my boys, we had at least 1,000 flyers of our concert printed. Mm-hmm. And so I told my boys I wanted you to go door to door.
Yeah.
And deliver them in all of our neighborhood, all of our friends, 3 hours, community service work. Like, don't fucking cut it out. Like, the more you get done, the longer you work, the harder you work.
Yeah.
You're working for the Lord.
Yeah.
And my kids opened 3,000 mailboxes in Midland versus putting it on the porch.
And Jim panicked because it's a federal offense.
He panicked. So I got on the neighborhood Facebook page and I was like, hey guys, sorry, it's just Bennett and Reeve. Come to our concert. Don't sue us.
Don't sue us.
Like, shoot my boys. And they were super excited because they got it going so good that Bennett never had to hit the brakes. Reeve just got to open up the mailbox and they threw him.
Got a good system.
Oh, God. I'll never forget. I'm like, yeah, my boys volunteered, and his face got redder. I was like, it'll be fine.
I think it's fine. But it is true. Like, I think
it's a federal offense.
Yeah, and I think it's like if you have nefarious.
That's how Versace died.
Tell me more. What?
He went to his mailbox and...
Is that why you had the Versace connection with, like, oh no, that was Drake, but that was wrong. How did Versace die?
He went to his mailbox. They shot him on the way to his mailbox, or on the way back.
Shit.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the mail is dangerous. We're clinking.
Yeah.
And we think that the post office needs to remain like as is.
And just be nice. Don't make us feel dumb.
Right. And potentially,
I'm happy to pay $13 a note if you don't make me feel like a fucking asshole for no reason.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening to Stirred Up. If you like what you heard, please subscribe. Check us out on YouTube. Follow us on your podcast apps. Please send it to a friend. Leave a comment. Add a rating. Every little bit helps. We look forward to seeing you next week.